Girl, I promise I will be there for you through the ups and the downs. You can count on me. If ever you're feeling lonely, I will be there for you, yeah. You can count on me when the chips are down. You can count on me when skies look gray, yeah. And girl, I want you to know that you're my best friend, and no tide could ever drift me away. Girl, I promise I will be there for you through the ups and the downs. You can count on me. If ever you're feeling lonely, I will be there for you, yeah. For you, yeah. Loving you is a pleasure for me, baby, believe me. Just the person you are, you're making it easy. I'm gonna be there for you, baby, believe me. I'm open like a book so you can read it. And I promise I will be there for you through the ups and the downs. You can count on me. If ever you're feeling lonely, I will be there.
From the top, ladies and gentlemen, got a dope convo for y'all today, man. It's gonna be a vibe, trust me. It's Jay Will on the Raps and Kush Band. There for you.
Girl, I promise I will be there for you through the ups and the downs. You can count on me. If ever you're feeling lonely, I will be there for you, yeah. You can count on me when the chips are down. You can count on me when skies look gray, yeah. And girl, I want you to know that you're my best friend, and no tide could ever drift me away. Girl, I promise I will be there for you through the ups and the downs. You can count on me. If ever you're feeling lonely, I will be there for you, yeah. For you, yeah. Loving you is a pleasure for me, baby, believe me. Just the person you are, you're making it easy. I'm gonna be there for you, baby, believe me. I'm open like a book so you can read it. And I promise I will be there.
Walk on, Jerome, large up.
Through the ups,
so good to see you, fam.
Downs, you can count on me.
Hey, Hope, how are you?
You're feeling lonely, I will be there.
Samantha, what's poppin'? Yeah, man.
I promise I will be there for you. Through the ups and the downs, you can count on me. If ever you're feeling lonely, I will be there for you, yeah, for you, baby. Hey, girl, I love you as usual, and the feeling you feel it is mutual, and you're so down to earth, so rutical. I will always be for you, always be for you. Girl, I love you as usual, and the feeling you feel it is mutual, and you're so down to earth, so rutical. I will always be for you. Girl, I promise I will be there for you. Through the ups and the downs, you can count on me. If ever you're feeling lonely, I will be there for you, yeah, for you, baby, for you,
A lot to the fam right now listening in from Connecticut. Jersey fam, thank you too.
baby,
New York is rocking with us.
for you. Ooh, ooh, yeah. If you think that life out there will bring you happiness, well, girl, just stop and think before you make that step. If you think that smile of yours will open all the doors, well, girl, just stop and think. You tell me that you're leaving and you really don't care. Why you want to go and leave my life in despair? Tell me that you wouldn't mind a really rich man. Want to move the kids into a big mansion, girl. Want to drive up in a shot and crisp van where the rims them deep and have navigation. Well, baby girl, with all of that, nothing no wrong. But with J. Williams, you know say you're strong. You know that I'm a soldier, we have ambition, have good ideals and enough inspiration. Come to sing for the whole nation. So by my side, that's where you belong, girl. If you think that life out there will bring you happiness, well, girl, just stop and think before you make that step. If you think that smile of yours will open all the doors, well, girl, just stop and think. We've been traveling on for far too long for you to throw in the towel. No, keep it in your hand. Enough night we did sit down and a reason out a plan. Now you change like the weather start to act so stubborn. I know the grass is looking greener on the other side. Remember you knock pony parks and I make them take you for a ride. You know what shoot me a talk, I see it in your eyes. What more will it take, girl, for you to realize? Sometime in a life, girl, you got to take chances. Got to compromise and listen to what your man says. Open up your eyes, girl, and take second glances. And don't be tricked by glitter, gold and fancies. No, if you think that life out there
Dropping the joints you don't hear on the regular, right?
happiness,
Yeah, man.
well, girl, just stop and think before you make
Jano.
If you think that smile of yours will open all the doors, well, girl, just stop and think.
Wah.
If you stick by me, I will stick by you. There's nothing in this world that we can't do. I know the trials in life can make we lose our minds, but we gotta stay focused, eyes on the prize. The sky is the limit, baby girl, let's stay in it. Troubles will come, girl, but yes, we could win it. Yes, we can win it, girl. Just stick with it, girl.
What up, Joy?
I promise I won't.
North London in the building. Got a big and massive them in North London, you know what I mean? East London, all that, you know what I mean?
Stick with me, girl. Stick
Man, them got you locked, you know what I mean?
With me girl,
Easy there, mate.
you think that life
Joy, large up yourself, mate. Thank you so much for rocking with us. One big up Nadine,
well girl,
Lee and Safi and everybody. You know what I mean?
oh, you make that step.
Don't make them bait out the situation, you know what I mean? Patsy, what's going on? South Africa, wagwan. Yeah, man.
Girl, just softly feel.
Great to see you, Patsy. Enjoy.
Yeah, I'm no one there for my child, I'm a future children. My nieces, nephews, I'm my godchildren. Now all the youths out there, G Cole, send no one out for them. Joey, Justin, Millie, Marlea, Gavi, Christian, Caden. Yeah, man.
Baby, you can always come home. I'm never too far. You can always come home. My love will follow you wherever you can always come home. I'm never too far. You can always come home. My love will follow you wherever you are. 'Cause you did not try to mean it was not a word. I did not cry, don't mean it did not hurt. I'm not the crying type, for what it's worth. Now baby, you're my child, been loving you since birth. You don't know what you mean to me. Don't let it be more painful than it has to be. I'ma give you wings, I'll set you free. I think there's so much things I think you need to see. But if this crazy world starts bringing you down, then don't say your word and don't make a sound. Home is here, so head homeward bound. That's why cars got steerings, baby, turn around. Nothing wrong with taking 2 steps back so you can make 4 forward, get it back on track. That's why I'm here, your daddy's got your back. You can always come home. I'm never too far. You can always come home. My love will follow you wherever you can always come home. I'm never too far. You can always come home. My love will follow you wherever you are. I know you're getting grown, but here is some advice. Before you make one step, you think about it twice. You will make mistakes before you get things right, but there is always day coming after night. And I don't know what is down the road. I know there'll be some laughing and some heavy load. All it takes is patience and a humble mode for you to break these chains and figure out these codes. There's time to work and there's time to play. Make time to rest and make time to pray. You stay behind, let God lead the way. You will be okay, that's what the Bible says. A humble child will make his way to thee. Remember, nothing's perfect, baby, nothing's free. I sing this for my child, so Jah bless our peace. You can always come home. I'm never too far. You can always come home. My love will follow you wherever you can always come home. I'm never too far. You can always come home. My love will follow you wherever you can always come home.
It's almost that time. Tell your friends to tell their friends.
Can always
Join us right here to vibe, man. A vibe indeed.
follow you wherever you can always come home. I'm never too far. You can always come home.
Squeeze off another one.
Yeah.
It's G Cole and the Raps and Kush Band, all right?
Woo.
Not True Joy, you can always come home. This one's called When I. The album is called Ocharias. It is yours truly. Gotta drop some message for the masses out there, you know what I mean? I love y'all, man. Let's go, let's go, let's
When
go.
I'm feeling like I'm feeling, Jaja, you never yet let me down. I say you never yet let me down. When I need him, like I need him, Jaja, you never yet let me down. I say you never yet let me down. When I'm feeling like I'm feeling, Jaja, you never yet let me down.
Marcel.
Like I need.
So good to see you.
Jaja, you never yet let me down.
Yes, man.
I say you never yet let me down.
Lodge up, G-Man. Courtney, what up?
Whenever things get tough, whenever things get hot, I pull out Moses and head up to the mountains. I fall up on my knees and then I pray non-stop. I send my blessings up, you let your blessings drop. That's what I've always done, what I've always seen, my granny always do. And she taught to me, I'ma teach to mine, my little kings and queens. Whoa, when I'm feeling like I'm feeling, Jaja, you never yet let me down.
I heard you. I heard you. The album's called Ultra-Rios. This one's called When I. It is yours truly, alongside the Raps and Kush Band. Lodge up B Will, J Bass, Kevin Gates, Vinny Hamilton, J Will. Oh, you mean? Got Lodge up J5. Oh, you mean?
When I'm feeling like I'm feeling, Jaja, you never yet let me down. I say you never yet let me down. When I need him, like I need him, Jaja, you never yet let me down. I say you never yet let me down. When I'm feeling like I'm feeling, Jaja, you never yet let me down. I say you never yet.
Gotta become my Ultra-Rios team.
When I need him, like
St. Anne's Bay. Cologne, Germany's with us too. Rubber Ranks Radio Wagwan.
Whenever things get tough, whenever things get hot, I pull out Moses and head up to the mountains. I fall up on my knees and then I pray non-stop. I send my blessings up, you let your blessings drop. That's what I've always done, what I've always seen, my granny always do. And she taught to me, I'ma teach to mine, my little kings and queens. Whoa, when I'm feeling like I'm feeling, Jaja, you never yet let me down. I say you never yet let me down. When I need him, like I need him, Jaja, you never yet let me down. I say you never yet let me down. Another day goes by, another plot revealed. One man a planting farm, one a rob and steal. One have a hard love story, said he needs a meal. Need to feed him kids, correct, I know it feel like just giving it up because his faith is sealed. But never place your bets before the deal a deal. You know the hottest fire makes the hardest steel.
What up, Gabby?
I say you never yet let me down. When I need it,
Lodge of Alwyn, Lodge of Candace.
I need it.
Yes, man.
You never yet let me down. I say you never yet let me down. Even if I'm breaking inside, he forsaketh me never. No, 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 no. My faith is stronger. Jah is with me forever, forever and ever and ever and ever. Forever, forever. When I need him, like I need him, Jaja, you never yet let me down. I say you never yet let me down.
Jano.
When I'm feeling like I'm feeling, Jaja, you never yet let me down. I say you never yet let me down. When I need it,
Yes, man.
like I need.
Got some things to talk about.
Jaja, you never yet let me.
My folks just came off of Independence Day, man.
Let me down.
Hitting up pretty.
Yeah, man, never you walk this walk, I'll try to tread this path by your firm seats. Blessed are those that walk in the way of the Almighty. Let him clear that road and help me carry that load, you see me? Jah is real, and his love endureth forever, you know? Call upon his name, and it shall be granted unto you.
When I'm feeling, you don't let me down. Never, never you let me down.
You're listening to Homegrown with G. Cole. He's got a heart of
This
gold.
is what you want to say. J. Cole, legal businessman. Bang, bang, boom.
I me say this a protege, eh? Homegrown with G Cole, what you say, eh? We make them know what reggae music we a play, eh? Hey, this is protege, the one and only representing for G Cole, you know. Check it, ease out.
And we said them not got no style like we. G Cole, them not got no style like we. None of them no wicked, no wild like we. Accurate, Kabaka Pyramid representing for the number one selector and radio host. It's all about G Cole, keep it locked. Accurate.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl Kalia. I'm hanging out with your boy G Cole on the Homegrown Show.
Yes. Welcome one and all. That is Homegrown with G Cole coming to the Massive and Crew live across the globe. Gotta big up everybody listening in Radio Land. All right, large up Rubber Ranks Radio every single time. All right, big up the Massive man in the UK. Thank you so much, everybody listening all over. Again, we're grateful for this gift of technology, making the world so much smaller, bringing us so much closer, so we can vibe out, have our reasoning, listen to some tunes, and you know what I mean? All a vibe. Big up everybody watching on Jamaicans.com, those people watching on the Homegrown with G Cole platform. Thank you so much. Remember, if you haven't yet subscribed to the Homegrown with G Cole podcast, please do so. It is available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Radio.com, YouTube, wherever you're listening to podcasts. We're there. We listen to some great music. We talk to some great people, all right? We're supposed to have a guest in studio today, but you know what? We have to switch that up because John No Star keep getting a whole barrage, a whole bunch of calls. I say, yo, this and that and that and that. I don't know how I got involved in all this. You know what I mean? I am the least political person I know, and I think the least political person you know. So when Massive and Crew say, yo, no, this I go on, we need to talk about this. I'm like, do we really? Do we really? But there's a lot of things going on there, man. We just came off of Independence Day for Jamaica, so happy Independence Day. To all of us, to all of you, Jamaicans, nationals, citizens, residents, and of course the diaspora. You know, once a Jamaican, Jamaica's in your heart wherever you go, wherever you reside. You know what I mean? So happy Independence Day. It's been a tough one. You know, a lot of things been popping off, a lot of things been going on. So, you know, it's been a lot of talk, a lot of chatter. We're known for that and good for that. So we're gonna address some of them. You know what I mean? While we get through a couple of tunes. And listen, congratulations to the Reggae Girls. You know, I posted on it and whatnot, and it's just me saying congrats. You know, it sometimes generates and triggers a lot of chatter and, you know, back and forth in the comment section. But congrats to the Reggae Girls. You did good. You made us proud. You know, and the penny section, all those folks over there who are experts. You know, the non-professional professionals. You know, the uneducated geniuses, the no talented skill ones, you know what I mean? Those people who couldn't make the under 12, even though talent was never a requirement at that age and all that, but all of a sudden you're a genius and you know what's going on and what system they should be using and what they shouldn't be using and blah, 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 blah. Load of girls, them. Congratulations. Also, for those people, you know, who doubt the future of the Reggae Girls, there's an article out in the Jamaica Gleaner where they're talking about that, saying that, you know, they don't know about the future of the Reggae Girls. And we've spoken about it, you know, that they need to develop and work more and work harder on the female, because it doesn't exist, a female soccer program in Jamaica. And of course, that would have to come up the ranks through school and then into society at large. Jamaica's, you know, we're a patriotic people, so we celebrate everything on the world stage. But, you know, at the same time, no different from the WNBA, how supported will it be? You know what I mean? So if we want to see stuff like that, we got to support it. And for those people who say that unless it's happening in the local scene, then it will, you know, the Reggae Girls will never be able to duplicate what they just did. I say trash. And the reason why I say trash is this. I've been really connected with and to the Reggae Girls since the last campaign, you know, prior to the previous World Cup, when I met a few of the young ladies, had them here on the show and had a conversation, developed a relationship with a couple of them, and we still chat from now and then, you know what I mean? And those people aren't necessarily on the squad right now because, you know, it's a new squad in there, but all the problems, all the hiccups, all the hurdles, everything, they've been going through that stuff from then, right? They've been going through all that stuff from then. So here's the deal. I'm just keeping it a buck. I'm going to keep it real, right? The whole concept of lack of sustainability for the Reggae Girls, I don't agree with it. Primarily, we have the natural talent. So primarily because of that, we have natural talent. You know, when you talk about on an international stage, the men's program aren't that great. You know, it's not that great. They're not doing that well. It doesn't mean that we don't have great individual talent, right? It's what we have to work with. We work with, which is why most of the squad is imported, right? Got a couple of people who are local bred, but they are imported. A lot of imported players that come in and have Jamaican parentage and decided to don the national colors and do what they got to do for the nation. And of course, we've seen that throughout the years, and we will continue to see that. And you are also going to see a lot of that for the women's program too. You know, I saw an interview with a young Jamaican professional soccer player, young, probably not, maybe 20. And, you know, one thing that he mentioned is that soccer players in Jamaica really have to leave, but not leave after they've been indoctrinated and after they've been cultured to a certain type of play and a certain type of mentality toward the sport, but before they get too deep into the schoolboy system, right? We're from a land that we call people baller, you know what I mean, and man a star, and whatever case may be. The amount of star baller me go to school with and play ball with, and then the community I'm playing under 16 with, and none of us, me not trip on them alone, none of we didn't have what it takes to go the other level, right? And them lie to you, see, man. You see, anytime they move, go somewhere, they move, go country, or they move, go Kingston, or they move somewhere else, or whatever case may be. Anytime you see them again, I guess what I'm telling you, say, they got called up for the national team. Lie. Right? Fire. But, you know, it happens. So we have to, let's have faith in the program. I got faith in the girls. I'm a huge fan of some of these, because some of the folks, you don't know much about them until it's the big stage time. And that's just how pro sports goes. You know, it's not just a Jamaica thing. It's not just a soccer thing. A lot of times when it comes to national sports, you got the A team and the B team. And the B team is out there putting in the work, grinding from the get-go. And then when they get to a certain level, then the A team comes in, right? Some level of not fear, but if your goal is to get the trophy home and to get the nod, then guess what? You got to do what you got to do. And they know what they're signing up for. But I've been a huge fan of Jody Brown since she was a little one, you know what I mean, just starting with a program, young teenager. Big fan of Bunny Shaw, you know, Marlo Sweatman, who's not on the team no more, and, you know, Nicole McClure, who's not on the team no more, but just, you know what I mean, the Swaby sisters. I just follow a lot of them, and especially congrats and thanks and much big up and much respect to Cedella Marley, because she, you know, as much as we talk about it right now and you hear all the things in the news and the sphere about, you know, the hardship and the struggle and what they were not able to get and what they weren't getting from JFF and whatnot. Here's the deal. I'm just gonna be real about it. And the biggest excuse the JFF will use all the time is that they're not really good. They're not the government. All right, let me rephrase that. The government will use is that, hey, the JFF is not government. It's the FIFA thing, that the JFF is not governed by the Jamaican government. It's governed by FIFA. They'll say that, right? Which is kind of factual. But anything to do with the public sector in Jamaica, the government involved. So if some money come in, now get it twisted. The government line up them pocket long time. So here's what I'm saying. So because I'm not there, I can't speak on it like I'm in the building or whatever the case may be. But what I will say, without apology at all, is if I'm going to take somebody's word, if the girls that are in the trenches are talking about it, and I've been hearing these conversations from the previous you know, team and all that. And we've seen and heard conversations from even the male side of things, but it's just that the girls have been more vocal. The struggle is a lot more real on their end, so they have to be a lot more vocal. A lot of the dudes have a lot more opportunities afforded to them, and I must praise women's soccer right now, because across the world, globally, it's developing so rapidly that these women are getting opportunities. You know, a lot of our players are playing on professional teams all across the globe, right? And not just Bunny, trust me. And then we have a lot of them going through the ranks of college. And I mean, big up again, Jody Brown and all of them that are like Jamaicans, grew up on the soil, you know, came over, played for college, and are about to embark upon that professional journey. So my thing is, if I'm going to take somebody word feet, I'm going to take the girls. I'm going to take the team, right? If I'm going to disbelieve somebody, I'm going to disbelieve the JFF, right? And to some regard, the media, right? I don't believe our word. I don't even know if your name is really JFF. You know what I'm saying? That's how much faith and confidence I got in you, JFF. Anything affiliated, right? Government, And the government going to say they're not the JFF and the JFF ain't the government. I understand. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if the girls say, so it go, that's what I'm riding with. I'm going to believe the girls. Bunny did an interview. Or guess what? She shared an IG conversation with I think it was Ian Wright, right? Soccer legend, also Jamaican parentage. And it came out. And once it came out, everybody had something to say. She should not have said this. She should be suspended and whatever. Suspend what? Suspend what? She has done better in her job as a soccer player representing the nation than the Prime Minister and everybody downward has done in their job of representing the country. So if you're going to say you're going to fire she or suspend her for what she said, then we are going to do the Prime Minister for the things that he said. The members of Parliament and them for the things that they've said, right? If we calling a spade, right? So the low Bunny alone here. Leave Bunny alone. Say what you want to voice your opinion. Strong women speak up. Y'all out there doing the do, going further along in your sport in a short period of time than the fellas have. And to be honest with you, being more effective than your leaders have. So they're not in a position, right? To be honest with you, no matter what y'all go out there and say in front of the microphones right about now, everybody at the JFF and the Jamaica government just sit down and just drink some water and mind their business. You know what I mean? Just like this. Drink water. Mind your business. Alicia, what's going on? How are you? So good to see you. So again, I'm going to support the girls. I don't care what nobody says. I'm taking their word for it. I'm sorry. If I'm going to choose to believe somebody, I'm going to believe the girls. They don't have a history of lying. The whole GoFundMe situation is legit. I remember seeing stuff like that, again, from the previous time, just them raising money. Even if it's not literal money, but raising awareness and marketing themselves in a way that they were never marketed by the nation, right? It amazes me the things that really bring attention to the nation, how the government and the powers that be can drop the ball on it, right? The reggae girls, for example. It's a man's world, so the truth is when the reggae boys are doing them thing, they get a lot of highlight, you know, but even that could be better. But we think about reggae music in general. Reggae music is our biggest, largest, most sustainable industry. It is the only infinite resource that the country possesses, the only one that continuously brings eyes and ears and bodies to the country, the one that represents the country and markets the country for free because you ain't paying these people no marketing dollars, but every time they go out there on these stages in the black, green, and gold and say Jamaica, more people coming here, right? But the only thing you seem to champion are your top tier track and field athletes, and that's if they're doing major, because if they're not the major, we don't hear nothing about them either. Y'all are tripping, right? If somebody goes out there and parades in a, no disrespect, right, and parades in on the beauty pageant stage and gets to a certain level, when they come back, then the red carpet is rolled out and whatever the case may be, and they're welcome home, and we have all kind of things that go on the street. Bam. But again, reggae music not getting that kind of love. Right? Of course, we can tell why, and no shame in the game. Reggae music, the actual talent, the actual pool, comes from poor people for the most part. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're not anomalies and they're not people who are of affluence or who are just not impoverished and whatnot that do music and succeed at it. I'm not saying that now. But what I'm saying is this: it is of the people. And in my opinion, that's the reason probably why it's not as supported by government and so forth. Because truth be told, the government should have rallied behind reggae music a long time ago, right? To help it to grow, reggae and dancehall music, to help it to grow, because that, again, is their flag, their marketing stuff, right? Every time they decide that country need a boost and them don't know what to do, and they put out a marketing campaign, what's behind it? A Bob Marley song or some other relaxing reggae thing, right? I know if I walk out anywhere in the world, and I've done it before in different countries in the world that I've been to, you know, once I say I'm Jamaican, they're going to mention Bob Marley. Over the last 2 decades or so forth, they would mention Usain Bolt, right? And they mention Demon Marley, they mention Sean Paul, right? Stuff like that's what they mention all the time. I never heard nobody say the Prime Minister. Don't nobody talk about even the soccer players. Don't nobody talk about nothing else, right? So we need to represent where we need to represent. And these ladies now have created a brand across the globe that people are paying attention to. And that we need for rally behind. And stop on the foolishness, right? So I'm just saying, it's ranting time. Jerome said, Minister of Sport is a part of JFF. Sport and politics don't mix. Well, guess what? You're absolutely right. It's not supposed to, but if you ask the JFF, they will tell you that they are not a part of local government, and local government in a heartbeat will tell you that they're not. But again, they're not driving out the house in the same car, but behind the back, and you know what I mean, it's love making. Y'all know that. Y'all know that the two things, them intertwined. I can't say anything I want to say, right? But I feel you. Trust me, I feel you. Again, nobody drops the ball like the Jamaican government, right? I say over and over and over. If it wasn't a situation where we have hierarchies and borderline monarchies in Jamaica where people are prime minister till them damn near ready for dead, you know what I mean? It's an alternate between two same, different puppets, same strings kind of a vibe, right? And then they have a gripe when I say things about politicians. I don't want to discredit anybody, but at the end of the day, if anything named politician to me is I feel like the devil is not red with a tail. I think the devil's a politician in a suit. That's just how I feel about it. So when we talk about politicians and all them things, it sounds a little bit harsh, but I don't think there's no nobility there. Nobody can tell me that anybody, I mean, we don't want to say it sometimes because maybe your mama, your daddy, your uncle, your aunt, your cousin, your friend, whatever is involved in politics or have political aspirations. But let me tell you something, there's no nobility in it, right? Even if you don't go in with the plans to do wrong, you're a canvas and you know what you're capable of because you know what the environment brings. So at the end of the day, and I'm just dropping that for the person who mentioned something to me yesterday in terms of talking to a politician. I don't have no desire, right? I'd rather you lie to me through the media, can't lie to me in the face, right? So the thing is, it's just trash, and we need to do better. Do better by those. If you don't want to do better by those people who you think deserve it, do better by people who've earned it, right? Again, our musicians, our artists, they've earned it. Our reggae girls, they've earned it. Do right by them. Do right by them. Do right by them. All right? So it's like I said, it's been a rough couple of days. I got like 20 phone calls on certain subjects in the past couple of days. And I didn't even do a show on Monday for that reason. We had Independence Day, and again, I just like Jerome said, the whole politics. To me, politics is everywhere. You cannot get away from politics. Every nation, everywhere you go, politics involved. The way your school system runs is politics, right? The way how your community runs is politics. To get your roads to be in a certain condition is politics. To get books and computers in your school is all politics. So technically speaking, politics is everywhere. You cannot get away from it. But I have never seen people as political as Jamaican people. My concern and my issue with that has always been, and from predates me, is that politics is very polarizing. So if we are a political minded people, then polarization is within us. That means that we're always going to have division, right? Same thing here in the US, but in Jamaica, for a small place, is even people who don't benefit from it, because the truth of the matter is, no, not everybody benefit from it. I know people who broke during every administration. No matter if a Republican, if a Democrat, if independent should ever win it, then broke during the whole thing, right? And they have people who are doing well and making sure that they're taking care of their families through it all. So the immediate effects of politics is not necessarily far-reaching to everybody, right? And in Jamaica, at the end of the day, most of the people who are going to the polls and championing and have on the colors and a beat pot cover or whatever the case may be, if you're hungry, you're still hungry after your people I'm going to in a place. You understand? It's just what it is. I am yet to have met somebody or come across somebody who could tell me that an administration bettered their life, right? And if they tell you so, I lie them a tell. They just have personal affiliation, right? A lot of people are personally affiliated. So if you ask certain things, they must say, but it ain't true. It ain't true. But we're a nation of overly political people. So you can't have a conversation about the country and just life and just the beaches and the mountains and the ocean without it becoming political. Perfect example. And I'm going to probably do it next week. But this, after independence, it was my intention to have a conversation with Jamaicans or a Jamaican over the age of 80 that and I don't mean this anyway, that's coherent enough and can, articulate memories, put them together, not just memories, but then articulate that to us about life pre-independence. And the reason why I stated about 80 and above is because if we're celebrating 61 as 61 years of independence, then I need somebody who is more than 80 years old, because even if you're 70 years old, you're a child pre-independence, right? And but a child pre-independence. But if we look at somebody about 80, you would have gone through childhood, teenager, and just started young adult, right? I would go 90 and 100, but it's just that I think it's going to be more difficult to get somebody in at that age. I want to say in, it could be on the phone too. And just to give us, a vibe, because I can paint a picture. If somebody say, yo, paint a picture. I grew up in Jamaica in the 80s, right? And 90s. So if you ask me to paint a picture of what my life was and my experiences and what I saw and learned and felt and experienced, I can vividly paint that picture for you, right? And I can vividly tell you when I've noticed changes in my life, right? And when I say changes, again, just changes in my life, not changes in political administration, changes in my life, right? We can talk politics all I want. I grew up in the era of Edward Seaga, Michael Manley, and I'm talking about while I resided in Jamaica, and then somewhat PJ Patterson, right? So I've been in Ocherius, I'd see the helicopters come in the playing field every so often, and they come out and they meet and greet and do whatever the heck they want to do or whatever, and all the different things that we can always keep it political. We know what's going on. We watch JBC TV, whatever the case may be. But if I'm to paint you a picture of life growing up, it's going to have nothing to do with that. I'm never going to mention that, because that's not the end all be all to it. But I spoke to about 8-9 people yesterday. Not yesterday, I mean Sunday and Monday. As I tried to pool a couple people to come have a conversation regarding pre-independence, right? Some people who, have a recollection and could articulate it well, whatever the case may be, bowed out. And I realized, I can't force anybody, but I realized some people bow out because of the fact that they themselves are politically inclined, and their view and what they're going to depict is going to paint a picture in one light, right? I respect it. It's cool. And then as I spoke to other people, they couldn't start the sentence without it being politics. I remember I said to somebody, talk to me a little bit about, what's going on that time out of the case. And the first thing out of their mouth was, well, it's the Bustamante era. And I was like, no. Can we not? How about we just, what was life like? You were growing up on, yeah. Well, talk about like George William, and everything was political. Right? And then when I spoke to some people, I was like, let's not go, talk to me about life. What was your life like? Because as a 10-year-old, I'm sure you had no idea who Bustamante was. And if you knew it was just a name, you don't know about it. You're a child. All right? So talk to me a little bit about that until you became a grown adult and you had to either participate in elections and voting processes, or you lived in a certain sector where you were immediately and directly affected by it. You really don't know about that. So, but I started hearing about the Governor General and the Governor General that predated and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, man, I spoke to about 4, 5, 6 people. And as they proceeded to give me an insight into what life was like prior, the first utterance was politics. And I said, I cannot have a conversation with any of y'all. All right. I just have to leave it be. Right. So I'm still working on that. And I am going to have some conversations. But again, it's nothing against the nation. And because I'm a proud Jamaican. But the conversations we have a lot of time is, and why I want to speak to those people is, from a patriotic standpoint, we all, our forefathers bled and died for our freedom and our independence, right? But the effects of independence, how did it affect you? Because here's the funny thing about it. Most of the elders, outside of their political hero worshipping of Manley and Seaga and Bustamante and Manley, so forth. Outside of those, they don't spend much time thinking of anything or anyone else. Remember, life as you know it goes on, it continues, regardless of who is your leader. Right? So we want to get in the minds of some folks, talk to some folks, reason with some folks about just life. Could you tell, just like I can tell you certain points in my life when certain things change? I don't know what, I'm not talking about the socioeconomic changes. I'm talking about personal feeling. I can feel the change in the climate and the change in the atmosphere and the change in just how we operate. And you can tell that an era is now behind us. Can you tell me what that felt like when, we crossed that threshold from pre-independence to independence to post-independence? That's kind of what I want to get into. Jerome said, nothing get none without them even funeral them want to take over. You're absolutely right. He says, after Gilbert, my life changed. I remember the effects and the effects of Gilbert too. So I remember vividly. When Gilbert started, I was outside playing in some of that wind until my mother was like, get yourself inside, right? I was a little inventor so I saw the opportunity to try to make stuff. I tried to make my own little stove, right? Not a coal stove. I wanted to be, I remember vividly, I wanted it to be like a gas stove, but it was kerosene powered stove, right? So I had burners, which is a paint pan, and I bore the holes in them, and I was a little kid, right? Primary school kid, and I had my bottle of kerosene over here, and then the kerosene was gonna funnel through a tube, come through dripping very slowly, so it wouldn't come out too far. But guess what? I burned down the house because it wasn't metal pipes that I had carrying that kerosene. It was plastic, right? But in just my mind, I'm just visualizing what to do, but the technicalities of safety and what might be flammable and what might not be is not crossing my mind. I'm a child, so I remember vividly where I am, what I was doing at those points, and what life felt like after, So I feel what you're saying here, Jerome. Trust me, I feel you. Alicia said, government in all countries are corrupt. They work for the crown and the system who have created generational trauma towards all our indigenous people. Together we must stand up and spread love. That's facts right there. Alicia, I wonder if that final statement there is just a cliche, though. When we talk about standing united and spreading love, I'm not gonna lie. I have conversations sometimes where I say to myself, "Damn, are we too far gone? Are we gone too far down the rabbit hole? Are we already gone to hell in a handbasket? Is it over?" Yeah, I literally have asked those questions to myself and to others. Like, is there any coming back? When you see the things happening, right? Is there any coming back from that, or are we all screwed? I've asked myself the question, right? And funny enough, I've heard some of the elders say it. And I am looking forward to the best for our kids and the future, so I don't even want to verbalize it. You know how we are. We don't verbalize certain. It's like if you're at church, if you grew up in the church, there are certain things, even if you think it, you would dare not verbalize. It's the same thing, right? Jerome said, government didn't know how I got to school. Amen. 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 Joy said, we have to say we made it to 61 years. Yeah. Sounds like they have been pre-programmed. You sound like me when you meet people and all they ask you is if you're saved. Not true. And I guess that's a similarity with religious-minded folks and political-minded folks. They're pretty much it's the same pulpit, different building. Politicians speak politics. They don't speak English. Religious folks speak religion. They don't speak English. So when it's all said and done, they just go right back to their text, and that's the end all be all for it. So I feel you on that. But again, rough independence for quite a few reasons. We had that again, our reggae girls. Now, I've had to speak on something. This was because it happens too often. This was when the nation gave some awards to David Rodigan and some other folks. And then there were some other folks now that we felt like, you know, they pioneered sound system culture and they might have had more effect on sound system culture, which to me is probably not true, than many others, right? And we saw how the people came down on them, and people had all kind of negative things to say, and that in itself was terrible. Was terrible. Hold on, I wonder if I have somebody want to join the foray. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on 1 second. I might have a caller for you. Hold on. The caller, if you know, say you know, come for live, you better hang up, you know. Because we are put you live right now, you know. Live right now, you know.
G Cole out there.
Me good, you know, you're live on air, you know, so trust me, if you're hiding from anybody, that is not the time. This is not the time.
No, I from no one, you know, better than that. You see, me look for a mood for this evening, independence. Some man are rankle. And the spirit of the independence gone.
Do me a favor. You have something in the background. Turn down for me there. It outshine you.
Hold on. Yeah, you hear me now?
Yeah.
The independence, the spirit of the independence.
Yes, sir.
61 years old, G Cole, and you know, I think what Jamaica experiencing, in my opinion, right now, is just the lack of leadership at basically all levels of the society. And you know that reflects on the population generally,
right? And
by extension, the attitude of people. You know, for example, just some. I mean, I'm old man still, so I come from a different time. When you know we talk about independence, and 3 months before independence, you start getting at the spirit. You know, we have festival song competition, which is a major part of the feel good effort, the whole celebration. Before you have the final, they carry the people around the country, and they have like a street dance and rare thing going and stage show and present the song and thing. And all of that flavor has gone. I think Jamaica is coming to the realization that the people who are supposed to represent them in it for themselves. Anything what them do, the idea is that, you know, how much money me can make out of this for myself, or the people who help me get elected or close to me.
Right.
And so the you know, how it benefits the country as a whole is immaterial. You know, if something wash off on them, I don't know. But if not no wash off at all, it don't make no difference either. And I think that's essentially the spirit that you're picking up around there. And plus, you know, on a broader scale, you see, you know, the whole heap of subject issues that just are left hanging in the air. People not tell you nothing, you know, this lack of information.
Right.
You know, the lack of support. Our youth is the most positive part of our country and its development, the future. And we don't really make no investment in our youth. We think about that, you know.
That's true.
We go a stadium when champs are run, and you know, on a Friday and Saturday stadium park and thing. And nobody no realize we have, you know, that Jamaica's youth athleticism is a major part of, you know, the resources, the fuel of the development of the country. You know, you have a handful of professional and stuff, but that same athleticism is a extend to the netball team, the volleyball team, the reggae boys, the reggae girls, right? Are the same youth, you know.
The few cricketers we have, yeah,
the cricketers, the few were there, right? Basketball players and so on. But there is no program. You know, Jamaica is a major sporting force in the world. But we only look on sport from the perspective of if the team are going to the Olympics, we're going to put all of the effort to send a team to the Olympics.
Right.
But as far as developing the team is concerned, before them get to the Olympics, no program not there.
Did you see the article in the Gleaner that referred to that today when they were saying that the reggae girls would not be able, they wouldn't sustain this, and they probably wouldn't be in the same position next year because there is no development of women's football in the island. Did you see that article?
Actually, I wrote an article similar to that long before that Gleaner article came out, and in fact, what I made the article is actually published this past week in the Jamaicans.com. They published it actually the day before yesterday. And the same article was also published in another online newspaper called the Jamaica Monitor. And essentially, what I was doing is asking that isn't, I think we need as a country to develop what we call a national policy around sports, making sports a bankable business proposition in the country. And by doing that, because let's be honest, the country definitely cannot finance the development of sports in its totality.
Why?
As we would have liked.
Why?
Right?
Why?
Because, well, you talk about the country financing, it means that it all comes from the taxpayers' budget. What I'm suggesting is that if we look at sports, first of all, what we need is a ministry of sports by itself, because the subject is big enough, right? Not cluttered with entertainment and gender and all them kind of things. So we have a ministry of sports, and they articulate a policy, just like what we do with tourism. So once you create a policy and a policy framework, it allows private business interests to now come in and bankroll these areas. So we have a total sports program, which will, let's say the program will require $50 billion a year, right? If you have a policy on which underpins this thing, you can then set a private sector interests, and these companies are making billions and billions of dollars, right? They can then contribute to sports in a meaningful way, where they can claim back their contribution as tax write-offs, right?
Right.
And because there is a program and a policy, it provides for some sustainability. Now remember, the program is not just an end to itself. So in other words, we're not developed just people play football. But reggae girls, for example, in order for that to work, you need a female football program in the island.
So
right?
so is it lack of vision, or is it just lack of interest? Why? Because again, I'm going back to when you said that the country can't afford it. I don't know. I feel like if they can afford to give themselves a certain amount, I think a lot of times we think that there's not enough money there when the money there. The amount of money that we see floating around, right?
When I did the article, listen. As I said before, I've been around for a long time, and my own business interests. You kind of work it out that from a budgetary standpoint, you're not going to be able to provide this support. That is not to say that the sports ministry is not going to allocate portions of their budget towards creating the foundation for the program. But its sustainability can't be dependent on the taxpayer.
Correct.
It has to come through private capital. But for private capital to become interested, there has to be a skin in the game for them, right? Nobody's going to take up $5 or $10 billion and just give it away just like that.
Right.
They're gonna have to get back something, and so
right. And are they doing that to the other? Are they doing that with the men's soccer program? Are they doing that with? Because truth be told, none of them is really being taken care of and on.
No. I'm gonna say to you that nothing that is sports in Jamaica is getting its just desserts, if you will, and that is happening because we don't have a program. And let me quickly just run through. If we take track and field in Jamaica starts through the school system, right? All sports, in fact, comes through the school system. So from primary school to primary, secondary, and at the tertiary level, that feeds the national program.
Right.
So you have a structure with that, and the youngsters who come through the track program, even if they don't make it as a big star, there's a significant clutch of youngsters who get scholarships to go to universities elsewhere.
Yes,
which
they do.
enhances their own life chances down the road. The football program does the same thing, right? The football, Manning Cup football and DaCosta Cup football feeds into club football in Jamaica. It also feeds into the national program. But a lot of players who play club football, who may get a little taste of playing at the national level, end up coming to the United States of America, for example. They play Major League Soccer.
Right.
I think Jamaica have about 30 odd players who are playing Major League Soccer here in America. And each of those players earn a minimum of $150,000 a year.
Right.
Each of those players, US dollars. So there is that kind of continuity there for the men's program. Now, to support them to play football to FIFA World Cup level, there's a whole heap more that have to go into such a program. And then, you're talking about if we have club football costs money. And so if you have a program that says, I think like Tankwell is a big sponsor of Waterhouse Football Club. And I think they've developed a program around Waterhouse and the Waterhouse community. But I'm pretty sure they contribute because they have found ways where they can write off these donations along certain lines.
Right.
The same is true if you build out that program. You can also build out a similar program that addresses the women. There is no women football program in Jamaica. Why aren't the clubs playing football, offering women's teams? I think Constant Spring and Barbican was one of the two communities that had a
but is it sustainable? Is it sustainable to have today, if we decide today, so something, and the reason why I asked this question is this, remember, men have been playing, I played football under 12, under 10, under 14, under 16, right? And we grew up, and you have boys playing football from their little kids. Right now, the Bunny Shaws and stuff like that, when you hear their story, they got opportunities to play with the boys, but as grown kids, right? And because they had some talent and stuff like that, after a while, the dudes wouldn't shun them. Is there enough presence there? Because we always have the Cinderella stories and the darling stories. Is there enough female? Because they'd have to start from ground up. So we'd be talking right now about, okay, starting from primary schools to where, and prep schools to where, okay, when we talk about PE, we're going to have girls out here playing soccer too, just like we have boys. Because remember, when they're younger, there's no separation. I just PE, it's not football. When they're primary school, early primary school, I don't know football and cricket, it's just PE. You just come out and... So we'd have to develop that mindset that our girls are coming out now and playing soccer too. So what I'm getting at is, how feasible is that to say right now? Because we have these girls going to the World Cup.
It is as feasible as your ability to verbalize it a while ago. The problem is that it doesn't exist because as a country, as a people, we have a very chauvinistic approach to how we view certain things. Right? We view most of those contact sports as only men supposed to play them. In fact, that was the attitude of the JFF in 1987 when they tried to launch a women's football program.
Right.
And to the extent that in 2000 and 2007, 2010, when the program was now getting into stride, the JFF basically said, we're not money to support that, and them just squash it. Right? So it's not because it can't be done. The mere fact that you can verbalize it. Okay, go back to your argument. You play either PE in primary or high school in the early years. And it is out of that that people with certain skill sets are identified and placed into earmark for teams. You can do the same thing with girls football. The problem is that there's a tendency to think that this is a rough and tumble sport, and who is making the decisions for these students?
Right.
And so we don't encourage it, right?
So let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
That being said, because you're absolutely right. Let me ask you this. Last World Cup season, we saw the girls. That's when the real, and let me rephrase it. No disrespect to the era before that, because again there was a team and then it got squashed. But the darlings, the ones that drew the eyes on them, was the not this past World Cup season, but the previous one when Sidela Marley got on board, right? So this is our second World Cup season that we're talking about that. And
actually, not the second. Again, that's what I said to you. You see, because there is no publicity of this thing. These girls have literally tore through the veil and forced themselves.
No, when I said the second, I mean the second season of it where it's been as highlighted as it is. Because the previous ones were not, right?
But why was it highlighted this time as opposed to the previous time? Why do you think
the two times when it got highlighted is because a popular figure who also was not controlled by the Jamaican government was involved.
All right. You have some misconceptions. Football in Jamaica at this level is not there because the whole FIFA has structured their participation in the development of football. It cannot involve the government. So
no, I'm not saying. I understand that. What I'm getting at pretty much is you said, why is it highlighted? The two seasons highlighted. The two seasons were highlighted because Sidela was involved. That's the reason why.
Not necessarily. Sidela is a big part, yes, but it's not because of her. What happened is the team actually almost qualified for the 2015 World Cup. Almost. The problem was that because they in the lead up to the 2015 World Cup, I think the Jamaican women's team just barely missed out. Missed out for qualifying in 2015. And the problem that they had then is the problem that they have now, even with this World Cup that just finished. To fund a team for this kind of competition is a piss pot load of money. Right. And so that funding has to be identified from somewhere. There's this hullabaloo about how they finance the team and all of that. But the reality is that it's going to cost you a couple of millions of dollars to provide games for the girls to play. Them have to, is either them to play at home or them to travel to somewhere to make those games. And if you don't have the money, you cannot get those games, right?
They got the money.
Who got the money?
Babylon have the money. Let's just say that. The money can be found. Let's just put it that way. The money can be found.
The problem is that the JFF in the first instance never really gave any credit to the team that they would have gotten anywhere. And so when they did it in 2009, it was a surprise. It was almost a shock to them, right? But they never had no money. In fact, a lot of those, that 2019 World Cup, if I'm not mistaken, the team is still owed some of the money that they won, because to participate in the final, they get a certain amount of money. And some of those girls were still not paid.
But if you ask the JFF, they would say that's not true, right?
Well, they admitted that because they even went as far as I hear Chung made the thing on his program that hopefully when the allocations that will come to the team for participating in this World Cup, there was an expectation of, I think it's about 1.4 or 1.8 million US dollars for qualifying for the final. But having gotten to the second one, there's another lump sum money that is also involved, right? So that the team should carry, the team's participation is worth about $3 million US dollars to the JFF right now, right? And that don't include them 60,000 that them get for playing as individual players.
Right.
And so what JFF is looking at is they want to use that money to sort of make good on monies that they owe them before, right? But we can't solve this problem on this program. What we can do is just look at the potential. What is happening is our young people are the country's greatest potential. Right. And if you don't believe in those youngsters, right? What you're doing is you're drawing a blank check in respect of where the future is going to lead.
Right.
And to your original mood, why people not feeling it? For example, the 61st anniversary, the girl them go to the knockout round of the World Cup, big celebratory opportunity. But had they but nobody knew when they played their first match. A 2 man and a dog know that the girl them was at the World Cup. Yep. Right. It's only when them hold France that people say, oh, Jamaica hold France, but wait, and France, I think number 4 team in the world, number 5 team, and Jamaica hold them, and then them go one better and beat Panama. Hold on, them girls are easy. That's when it starts to grow upon them. But this team has been together for a long, long time, and what is worse is that this team, in my opinion, is a great indication of what is good about Jamaica. These girls demonstrated a belief in themselves, a belief in their ability to work together and to accomplish something, which is something that the country actually need at this time.
But that's something that's hard for the nation to embrace too, because again, when you talk about belief, they have a belief in themselves, and when they speak up, it gets lashed out upon. What I'm gonna ask you is this, because again, we're talking about the reggae girls. It's really not just them. I want to slide, since you're here, you fall victim to these things. So let me ask you this now, because again, there's so taste around this whole independence rubbed off on a lot of other things. Did you hear about the Marshall Montano getting the key to the city on Independence Day?
Yeah, I heard that. And quite honestly, I think we made a storm in a teacup. You have to first of all understand what is the key to the city, what is the symbolic, what is the significance of it. We do it here all the time. I've been to a number of functions over by Miramar, where Usain Bolt was just provided the key to the city of Miramar. Right? In fact, the city of Miramar went up and put a statue in place with Usain Bolt. And there are a lot of Americans who is criticizing the commission for spending money on a non-Jamaica, right?
Right.
You give the key to the city, to your city, to visitors. And if you recognize Marshall Montana for his contribution to culture as a Calypsonian, he is no less deserving of the keys to the city of Kingston than any other visiting artist. If Beyonce go there and give her the keys to the city, would anybody complain?
Well, it's funny. No. It's funny you said that, because that was when I got no less than 20 calls about it, and I'm talking about from Canada, the UK, Jamaica, and here. And when I expressed that sentiment, which is pretty much one, it's not like the key I opened my vault in the NCB, so that's one thing. And the second thing pretty much is this: our patriotism is so, it vacillates so much, because when you see and got that statue down there in Miramar, and I read the comments on it, because I saw our people out there glories and we're all celebrating. And I saw some comments from non-Jamaican people out there saying, why in the hell is Usain Bolt getting a statue in the U.S.? What is his contributions to the U.S., right? Because it wasn't just about a key. It was about you getting a statue and stuff like that. And I couldn't, all I had to do is just say, damn, well, it's not like they don't have a point. So my thing pretty much is this: when we are getting glorified all across the globe, we're all for it, right? If a man up on the moon right about now, we are trying to research to see if his grandfather or his father is Jamaican. That's how we stay, right? But then I wondered why the uproar was, and I expressed to all those callers, why is the uproar about this key to the city to Marshall? And what each person said to me, and I'll ask you to speak on this a bit, is that it's not about getting the key to the city. It's about the fact that with all the people that we have that would be deserving of something like that, why on Independence Day? That's what they
said. Let's go back. The key, let's deal first of all with the award. the key to the city. Remember, what is the purpose of the giving the key to the city? If you live in a Jamaica, then you would be entitled to such an honor. Can you live there? You're a Jamaican, right? The key to the city is presented to somebody who is visiting Jamaica, non-Jamaican.
Right.
And you are honoring this person for them role within the social sphere. So Marshall Montana is a Calypsonian of significant reputation, right? He's a guest of the people, the government and people of Jamaica at the Grand Gala. It is not an unforeseen honor to accord him that stature. It says it is a symbol of welcome. It says you are always welcome to Jamaica. That's what it means.
Right.
Nothing more. The problem with a lot of people is that they're quick to jump up and oppose things without, first of all, acquainting themselves with the knowledge that surrounds the decision.
And that is facts. That is facts.
Right?
That is facts.
My thing is, I don't get into the weeds when it comes to things. That's one of the reasons why I kind of stay out of these public debates, because I'm very unapologetic when I speak my mind. Right? My thing is, you don't just oppose for the sake of opposing, or because your friend says so and you value female opinion and jump on the thing. Go learn what the reason behind the thing, right?
It's funny you mentioned that. You know? It's funny you mentioned that, because that also rolls over into other things too. I remember earlier I was saying, I remember when David Rodigan got honored by the Jamaican government, and we made a big stink about it because of the fact that we're saying, oh no, there are other people who should have gotten.
Oh, that's an excellent. I'm glad you made that.
But hold on. That done pass and gone, so I'm not even going to dig up that. What I want to slide into with this one is this. Wayne Marshall just got the honor, and it's an uproar from a lot of people saying him not deserving.
It's an uproar. It's an uproar that is being driven again by ignorance, right? And a national honor, commander of the order of distinction, order of distinction. You first of all need to understand what it means,
right,
and how is it derived. The government don't get up and award an order of distinction to anybody, right? If I can, in my capacity as a promoter of Sunday schools, can put in a recommendation for G. Cole to be accorded order of distinction. And then I need to state my case. Why am I nominating you for this award? Right? That's all. That's what these awards are struck.
Right.
Somebody or a group will look at whomever they figure that this person is a person of substance within the Jamaican community, or whether there or here, and you put in the recommendation.
Right.
But you need to now support that with other people who is going to. So you put in the recommendation.
Right.
You put in the body of work that the person has done, and then you have to find other people to support the nomination.
Right, which obviously was supported on this one, which is the reason why he was awarded what he was
awarded. So you submit it, it goes into the awards committee, who reviews it against the background of all the other nominations that are there. And once it meets the standard, it has to pass the test, right? These are the touch points that it needs to take, and it satisfies all of them. Okay?
Well, here's the thing, though. I can't always oppose with it, because to be perfectly honest with you, when back a couple years ago when I was researching the Order of Distinction and many of the other orders, honors that are bestowed upon on people, what I realize is this: when it comes to the Order of Distinction and who they, over the years we've been giving it to a lot of, public figures who are mostly immersed in music. So I think a lot of times what people have been doing pretty much is they start looking at their musical contribution, right? So in a case like this now, it's like nobody's wondering or asking what exactly is it that he's been, because those things are not publicized either. The Order of Distinction is a public thing because it's an honor of the country is a public thing. But exactly what he's been nominated for, that is not made public. So when you talk about somebody who is an artist, a musician, Because personally, my gripe is not whether or not people feel, say, the wrong person is being awarded something, you know. My gripe, to be honest with you, and I felt this way back in the David Rodigan situation, is our vitriol and our vile is always misplaced, right? Let's say, for example, if you feel that the wrong man get it, instead of throwing your vitriol against the man that got it, how about you take it up with the persons who gave, right? And that is something that I have an issue with. I'm not saying to go do that, but if I get an award and you feel like I'm not the one that should have gotten it, is your brother should have get it, why are you coming at me? Why don't you go to the people who gave me the award?
And again, we talk about, as I say, all of this is driven by ignorance, right? Before I got involved with this culture and music thing, as I have over the last 12 years, I probably would be a victim of this lack of information. Today, I don't have that problem.
Right.
Because I understand there is a committee that deliberates over these nominations or recommendations. Remember, it's not that somebody reach out of the blue and decides that G. Cole will give a order of distinction. No, somebody have to look at the body of work that you have been doing here in Florida and put in a nomination sheet with your name on it, and then support that with a biography of your body of work. And then the same people who are promoting you have to now reach out. There's a quotient of persons who have to support the nomination. Right? And so the job is to find out how many people you need to carry this recommendation.
Right.
And then the category that you're making the nomination. For example, somebody here said, so how come nobody not nominate? How come they not give Buju or let me tell you
Shabba.
Shabba or Bounty Killer or Beanie Man and a what?
Yep.
There's nothing that stops any of these guys from getting an order of distinction.
Right.
Beyond somebody need to friggin' nominate it.
So obviously nobody saw the need to nominate them.
Because them don't have enough sense or educated enough to understand that this is the process.
Right.
Right? You need to understand that there's a process that is involved.
Yeah, but we don't. That's not how we operate, sir. That's not how we operate. That's not how my people operate. My people operate off of knowledge. My people operate off of feelings.
I don't do feelings. I told to the feelings. I don't go down in the weeds. I deal with facts and information, right? Because when I open my mouth, I don't want nobody to think that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not an idiot.
Well,
right?
my people work off of feelings. I just want to let you know that my Jamaican populace, when they come out and they act in the fool, knowledge is never a prerequisite. Knowledge is not a prerequisite.
Well,
Nobody educating is not a prerequisite. It's just two requirements: feelings and mouth.
Me not engage. Me sorry. Me not engage them kind of people. Me not engage. And when they come to me with it, they run them. Because my thing is, but educate yourself. Everybody have a phone, boss. And if you have a phone, you have a computer in your hand. And all you have to do is type in a Google, what are the prerequisites for national honors in a job?
Yeah, but if if the people know that, then them not gonna be able to make noise, and people want to make noise. So why? You know the thing already.
I don't have time to deal with that. So they come after me.
So that being said, because we talk about the money and the financial situation in Jamaica. That being said, have you purchased your Skybox tickets to see Chris Brown? For a couple $1 million. No?
Chris Brown is a man that beat a man.
So
right?
outside of the physical violence right?
He never apologized to it, and he will never get a dollar out of my pocket.
But he has an impeccable catalog though. You don't care about the catalog?
That's a film problem. Listen, me watch him from a movie, one Christmas movie with him can't remember the name.
I really like that movie too. Yeah. Love the movie.
And talented youth.
Yes.
But out of my speed.
So if you apologize, if you apologize, would you spend the $1.5 million? Are you have to take out the loan? You have to take out the loan and
because let me tell you something. Me and you are going to war. Because this is your friend in the party. You have tried to embarrass your party. No, but seriously, you take it like a joke. You know how many pounds I do, G Code? If I'm not have the money, if a man have them kind of money there for splurge, spend your money, man. Because guess what? All we are dead in a party.
That's true. You ain't carrying it with you.
If you have that kind of money for blow up, man, go blow the 1.5 and enjoy yourself, man. Me is not a Chris Brown fan. So
Right.
me not tell a man to spend the money to watch it.
Right.
If that float your boat, man, go and spend your money.
Yeah.
What I love is that some of the money there percolate more in Jamaica and stay like a language rather than you pay him and then convert it to US and gone
with it.
That's the problem. The other thing I have a problem with is, remember, people free for do what they want, to them money.
Yep.
But I like our local artists, them can reach a level where they can come on some big ticket price tag like them, right?
Right.
Because if we pay our local artists good money, that money they have to stay in our country a little longer.
Well, that being said,
Right.
let me ask you this, because I read an article the other day, which to me, I was blown away by, with promoters saying, because right about now, again, we have people pay $1 million for Chris Brown. Not everybody, of course, but we got people paying that kind of money. People paying 50s and 60s and hundreds of thousands, to the point where there are loans. And then the first time we see it, we saw it the Burna Boy situation. So there are loans to go see these artists. So you mentioned those people who have the money to spend. Majority of the people who would be taking the loans are not the people who have the money to spend. So that being said, I heard promoters complaining, say local artists, and I use the word local with in air quotes, are pricing themselves too high. So that's the reason why there's less shows in Jamaica. Had you heard about that?
All right. Yeah, I've heard that. In fact, I saw where a couple of promoters made the same argument. Sometimes, if sometimes some things are not for certain people, right? I may believe that the market will always, me believe in a free market, right? I believe in a price control and all that. And so let the audience determine the value of the entertainer. So if the entertainer want to charge X $1 million for a night work, and the promoter want to take a chance with him, fine. When the show flop, that's said to the promoter and the entertainer, worth that kind of money, right? The market must make that determination, right? If I'm not gonna say to a man where you must charge. If you come to me and me come to you and say, G Cole want to do a concert for me and thing, and he said, well, Blackford watch I want 30 grand to do the show. Me must do my sums quick and decide on the 30 grand we can make a money. We can't make a money. Mr. G Cole watch it look like we have to go take a pass from that. And I'm no hard feelings. You good, me good. Me just go find another artist. I'm gonna bother with the show. The market make that determination. If you're stupid and you want to go, me not gonna try to look good in people. I am paying $30,000 when they know we're $10,000. I not do that.
Right.
But if you do it, I lose my money. Me have nobody to complain about it, but nobody to blame but myself.
So is the marketplace appreciative? Because I really appreciate what you said a while ago in terms of you'd love for us and our artists to get to a point where they can actually ask for, nothing ridiculous, but actually ask for decent money and can get it. Now the question is this: is our people, our audience, because I say it without apology most times, especially when I don't have an album promoting, that the fan base sucks, right? Our fan base, because at the end of the day, the money, no matter, we have artists that are very, very good. Not all of them, but there are some artists that are very, very good. We can call 5, 6 of them, right? But they would never be able to ask for certain money and the audience pays it. Is there any way, anytime, anyhow you see that our audience will appreciate our artists enough to actually come out? Because remember, we can't talk about Rebel Salute and them thing because you talk about coming out for say 50 artists. But do you think the appreciation will ever be there for an artist to where they can put on a concert and charge a decent amount and people come out, pay the money?
I come from a time, you see? I come from a period, there's a time in my life of coming out of Jamaica where Kings Cooper had a show him used to put on once a year named Reggae Super Jam. Right? So they never have more than most about 3 artists.
Right.
And have some strong money in them time to go a Kingsley Cooper show. Market, smaller venue, but him charge a premium price. And the place rock, right? And the show finish at a good enough time. People have a great time and then can go out in the yard and get up next morning and go to work and take. But those artists, I've seen Peter Tosh on Reggae Super Jam. I've seen the same Beanie Man. I've seen, I think, Maxi Priest. So, and in them time, I live in Jamaica, and there's some strong con we did have to turn out for the show, right? I think it all comes down to the quality of what is being offered, not only by the promoter per se, but the artist. You know, people will spend a whole heap of money to go watch Beyonce, because when they go to a Beyonce show, they might get a performance, right? And the day our entertainers get to that point where they are delivering class entertainment, that's when you can ask for the kind of money.
And you think when they're doing that, Jamaicans, because I've never seen Barris do anything on a class show, right? And there are a couple of other names too. So you're saying that once our artists start delivering class shows, I'm not saying they're going to ask Chris Brown money, but you think they'll be able to ask decent money and get venues packed and sold out like they used to back in the day?
Absolutely, because it's not that the money isn't there. Remember, people are just being more selective, in terms of how they spend their money. They want to go to somewhere where it's comfortable, where the atmosphere is right, the show, the entertainment that is being offered is of the level that it comports with their expectation, and people will pay for it.
Right.
And in the same way, our man who can afford to buy a Lexus go and buy a Benz, because it's more money. It do the same thing, it provide a ride, but it give him some stature and thing. You have to be able to make that distinction, right? I think sometimes a lot of our promoters have forgotten that there is value in putting in a small show, right? And that's how you build an artist. You go a venue. Again, I remember as a youngster, you go to a show like Little Theaters, a small theater environment, right? That's where I saw Third World in the early days. Or you go to the Pegasus and then open up all of the ballroom and you have a show. So you only can see 300-500 people, right?
Right.
And that way you can create now an exclusive environment, provide an atmosphere, and if the artist delivers, what that artist is doing is writing his next paycheck by virtue of the quality of his delivery on that show, right? But you have to be prepared to see where you do as a business and look at the continuum that you want from it.
Right.
If all we do is the ray, raga, then we're not going to. Because there are certain people you couldn't even give me free ticket to go watch them. Right?
I agree. I agree.
Right? But there are some artists when we jump on a plane and go down to Jamaica, I mean, go watch them. Because you know
what you get.
Yeah.
It's something that I hope, I do hope that, because that was disheartening. And I'm not saying that it wasn't true that artists may be pricing themselves incorrectly, but I also think that between promoters and the audience also, I do think that there's a lack of appreciation for our reggae artists. But it's no different from anything foreign, and it's not just a Jamaican thing. You know what I mean? People and it's funny. I had somebody told me the other day that they stop at Starbucks quite often, right? And a Jamaican person. Never had Blue Mountain coffee in their life. So it's not that they were coffee drinkers from a long time, right? So at the end of the day, it was just the whole concept and the novelty of what that is. So and I'm just saying that to say, there's a heavy lack of appreciation for our product and an embracing of the others. You can tell by radio, you can tell by the nightclubs and stuff like that. Somebody posted, a gentleman posted today a comment regarding farmers leaving Jamaica, right? Leaving Jamaica.
5,000 farmers go in America go. But the person who right now have no clue what I'm talking. We can't tell you, right?
Because
5,000 farmers now leave Jamaica to go to farmers. A rubbish post that.
Well,
what happens is that farm work. You see, again, these people are doing stuff so it's attention grabbing.
Right.
Who are the people who go for farm work? Farm work are people who in the district where not now go on.
It's not farm, and that was my response. Is that these are not farmers. The farmers, because truth be told, generally when we grew up in Jamaica, let's just call us speed. Most farmers were older people too, because the young man them don't want to farm, right? So,
that's changing to energy coal. A lot of the youth them know down a yard of land down a country, a farm.
No, I'm not saying no, I'm not saying no, but what I'm saying is majority of the people who I saw leaving and coming on farm work, most of the farmers that we knew weren't leaving. The farmers weren't leaving to come on farm work. It was other people who just want to work or see it as an opportunity to run off.
Well, and that's another thing. The days when people used to run where go for farm work and run, that is not even the case. Because what happened is farm work has become regular. A lot of these people were seasonal farm workers. Once it's picking season, them are the first set of people that the farm them or grab on, right? Yep. So them have them ties like the tourism workers, people who go work on cruise ship, them go during the off season, them gone on the cruise ship, and when winter, them come back to Jamaica because them take back them job. They used to work in tourism. You come from Monterey. Yep. A lot of the wait staff who work at hotels like Shaw Park and Sans Souci and then
certain time of year them gone.
Jamaica in them. Once they get to summer, them gone on the cruise ship, gone to work.
Yep.
And when summer done and winter time, they come back to Jamaica for them regular job at the hotel.
Yeah, many people did that.
Is their career. Yeah, that's their career.
But
farm work is the same thing.
The part that I did, because that was my sentiment. But the part of it that I must say that I couldn't disagree with is the fact that, and I say this after going to other Caribbean and Central American countries and seeing certain things, because I don't like comparing our smaller islands to countries like the U.S. standard, because the infrastructure is not the same. It's not the same playing field, so it's not supposed to be compared. But places like Costa Rica and places like those who the government themselves invest a lot in maintaining and making sure, because remember, a productive and lucrative farm is massive. Most people don't own them kind of land there. So there are other people who invest and into those land space, and then you have leased farms, you have employed farmers, and you have, banana plantations owned by whomever, but the fact is there are farmers on there and everybody's making a living. Great, right? But I had to agree with the part of it that said pretty much that just like the reggae music, and I'm tossing this part in, that's not supported and supposed to be supported because it is our chief source of income and marketing for the nation. I feel like they've dropped the ball on agriculture too, many years ago. I separate the two, the farm workers situation, I separate that, don't agree. But the whole concept of the government has not done their best when it comes to agriculture in Jamaica, that part I'm 100% on board with.
Here's where I would have, I hear you. I'm not disagreeing, not that I'm agreeing either. I think you have to look at, first of all, farming was never ever properly sold to Jamaicans because we came out of an agricultural existence for slavery.
Correct.
And so when slavery done, the whole business of working the soil was anathema to people's existence. It
looked down upon.
Just too close to slavery. Plus, remember, most of these people weren't working land that they owned. Most of the people who established small farms in Jamaica, they actually captured the land. If you go back, I wrote a book called Top Ranking. Looked at that.
What's the book called?
It's called Top Ranking. It was just looking at the drift from rural to urban areas and how that fed into criminal activity. Mm-hmm. Right, but after slavery, a lot of people left the sugar, the plantations, and then realized them can't find nothing else to do. So they just squat on corner because the government owned more than 70% of the land in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And it was idle land. So the people just go cut out a little square for themselves and start the way you call subsistence agriculture. Mm-hmm. And some do it a little bigger than others. But in the main, the majority of the laborers left the plantation system and headed for the townships. Mm-hmm. And because the townships weren't designed, there was no infrastructure to accommodate them. That's how you end up with all of us squatting and the the ghetto communities. The biggest ghetto in Jamaica after the slavery was right down Kingston, the Maypen Cemetery, Trenchtown, the whole of that era, right? They refer to it as Dongle. That's why they give way to Tivoli. But the point that people left the agricultural areas, came to town because they expected factories are going to build up and so on. And when all of that started to crash, they don't know where to go. But the few who stayed, right, were doing what you call subsistence farming. The big people who own agricultural, who farm the backbone of Jamaica's agriculture, were the cane farmers, the orange farmers, and these are the McDonald's and so on. Yeah, and there are Jamaica white people who are descendants from the old-time slave owners.
Slave owners,
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And they still controlled more than 70% of the country's agriculture that was being developed for export. Jamaica banana producers and them companies that was formed out of organizations like that. But for the small farmer was really just growing crops that were being produced to feed yourself or you're selling at the market.
Right.
In the mid 70s, early 80s, we started to export certain types of agricultural crops, yam and bananas, coming to places like here. But it wasn't enough. So to that extent, yes, I agree with you. We probably never put enough in our agriculture as we should.
No.
And one of the features of that is the wages that are paid. Because we have come out of a slavery existence where the labor was free.
Them barely want to pay for this.
Low wage thing with farming. And so nobody don't want to do that. You can't blame them.
And it's funny, you're absolutely right with that. And again, that's a conversation I keep having too, is that the concept of farming and agriculture in Jamaica over the years, I don't think it's been accurately depicted. And those people who speak up on it from their little utopia, them little vacuum that they lived in. And sometimes they're wanting to seem overly optimistic and overly patriotic. So sometimes I sit down and I listen to these folks talk. But what you just mentioned just now, again, we grew up seeing that those people who had the farms weren't working the farms. They were the farm owners, the farmers, as we say, right? We're not the ones we're not the farm owners. And we're talking about, again, descendants of Massa, descendants of Bakr, the people who own the farm. The same people we can't pronounce the names. We come in full circle right about now, right? Monday, I was trying to have a conversation, but I had to cancel it because not being able to find the right person. I wanted to have a conversation about experience pre-independence. I can't ask a young man like yourself because you barely did about pre-independence, right? So I'm just saying, we can't talk to somebody who was 2 years old pre-independence. So because you have to tell me about the battle, and we came in the battle not help. So but we come full circle because you just mentioned, coming out of a certain era. And I always wonder, could people feel? I want to talk to somebody, and if you know somebody who can give me a nice conversation regarding it, I'd like to have a conversation with somebody to tell me what life was like, not politically, because everybody who I spoke to, and that's the reason I didn't bring them on, the first thing out of their mouth was Buster and Michael, and I don't want to hear none of that. I'm just talking about life growing up personally to you. Could you feel a difference between being in a colony of the UK to becoming independent, and then immediately thereafter, could you see and feel the difference?
That's an interesting question. I can tell you that through the eyes of the experiences of my parents who grew up in that family. I was 5 years old when Jamaica became independent, right? And so my recollection is limited to that and the immediate post-independence period. But to a large extent, it was a difficult time based on the information I have gleaned from them. Remember, there are some markers that you look at in terms of development, where they call it developmental markers. The first one is going to be opportunities for your people, right? The average Jamaican didn't have, and we take a lot of what we have known for granted, although it's limited. But prior to independence, is less than 15% of the population could read and write. Right. So if you're using your ability, literacy and numeracy as a markers and thing, then you understand. We never had any kind of distribution of schools across the island. It was just before independence that I think the government got a grant from Britain to build schools in all the parishes and then teeth up half of the money, right? So if you understand that we coming with this lack of education, and then you see just how bad that impact the people of the country in terms of opportunities. That is why when the war broke out, 1939, 1940, and Britain started to look for the colonies for help, a lot of Jamaican men in particular jumped on the boat and go join the British Army. Right. Because they started an opportunity to broaden their horizons and possibly live in Britain. Immediately after the war, again, another set of migration took place, and Jamaicans jumped on the Windrush
thing
by 1948 and went to England because they were in search of opportunities, because there was just no opportunities here. Our music, if you listen to the music that was being produced in Jamaica at that time, 1950, 57, because we actually started recording music in Jamaica in 57. Right? Well, we did some before that in terms of mental, but hardcore music, 57 up to and leading into the 1970s. The music, to a large extent, was very reflective of the circumstances of the people who were creating that music, right? And so that is why, people were looking to get out of Jamaica prior to 1962, because it was a feeling that if you go to the mother country, you have better opportunity. So to your initial question, the opportunities were not in abundance prior to independence, right? Even up to, in fact, the first big housing scheme that was done in Jamaica was the Trenchtown or Trenchtown housing scheme, which is in late 1940, I think it's 48, 49 up to 1952, where they build these, the 2-room houses with community kitchen. The same thing about Marley sing about in them thing. And then in 63, right after the country became independent, the British government had gotten a grant to build, to try to ease the housing situation in Kingston. And they built the Wilton Gardens housing scheme, right? Which we know as REMA, right? And that was to sort of try to ease the housing situation. And then right behind that, they built Tivoli, because the success of REMA gave the government of the day the encouragement to do the REMA scheme. And then out of that, in the next 10 years, you had a plethora of housing schemes that were built in that Western Kingston area, because that was the area of the greatest need. And with that kind of construction that was taking place, in as much as we had situations people couldn't read and write, it opened up the jobs, construction jobs. And if you remember, around the same time, the stadium was built, right? So there was a massive amount of construction taking place in Jamaica between 1959 and 1962, because the stadium was opened in 62, if you remember that, right? And that sucked up a lot of the unemployed thing. And what it created was a pool of skilled laborers in Jamaica, right? But it never addressed the education problem. That wasn't addressed until 73, when the PNP government at that time opened up the education thing, free education and all of that.
Right.
cut out the scholarship payment. You have to pay to go to school and all that stuff. So, but to go back to your initial question, what was the circumstances? Pre-independence, there was a lack of opportunity. That is why when you hear people talk about independence, there was an anticipation among Jamaicans when we became independent that yes, this is it. No, here's an opportunity for us to thrive, right? But there was, you see, to your point that you raised earlier, the people felt that this was an opportunity to thrive, to develop, but the government didn't put in the guardrails to marshal this development. So you needed schools, you needed trading centers, because you have to build your population. You have to.
And every nation, even the great nations right now, when they just gained that, they had their struggles and their hiccups. But the issue that many would say, and watching this clock here, I had a lot of, especially the elder folks, and I do feel that certain level of colonialization is embedded in certain folks, and I remember listening to old people when I was young too. They had a mindset of such, they were accustomed. It's like the slaves that were given stuff. They treat them like crap, but you fed them, and then when it's time to free them, they almost didn't want to go because they dreaded the responsibility of taking care of themselves. I kind of sensed a lot of that in people who were alive during the pre-independence years and then coming into the post. So I spoke to a lot of elders, not in lengthy conversations, but one thing that they have in common, right, is a lot of them state that, and I don't appreciate it, but hey, that they probably would have preferred the nation stay not independent.
And it's a debate. I think again a lot of that argument is kind of bandied about by people who really have not applied any thought process to the conversation per se. One of the things you have to realize when you get a society that is moving out of, if you contrast Jamaica with Haiti to a large extent, Haiti became a free state. It is one of the first free black countries in the world, right?
Yep.
But Haiti moved from slavery straight to freedom. Haiti didn't have a colonialist period, right? And you may wonder, why am I saying this thing? The colonialization period is an important part of the transition, because if you don't know if you don't understand the institutions that are able to deliver freedom and martial development, you're never going to have that development.
Yeah,
right?
It's training wheels.
And so, right. And so what colonialism did is that it provided the Jamaican state and Jamaicans with the training wheels, to use their term, to get them to be able to take charge when the time came. Maybe we needed to hold on the training wheel a little bit longer, like societies like Barbados who stayed longer. Barbados is better than us because they spent a little more time in the transition,
right?
And it benefited their economy. We didn't. Right. If you look at the Bahamas, the same situation, because they maintained these colonial guardrails a little bit longer. It meant that they assimilated the requirements for taking charge of your own freedom and your own responsibility.
Which is very necessary.
And so that is why we have countries like Barbados and the Bahamas with a higher GDP than we became irresponsible with how we manage those freedoms. And that is why we never learned that part of how we develop the country is by developing the people.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's the same people you're going to need to provide all the roles that you need to carry all the way through. And then the one vestige of slavery that we maintained, again, because of our own colonial existence, is we don't pay people properly in Jamaica. Jamaica has maintained its what I call its plantation approach to wages.
Yep.
And so if you can't have a consumer-driven economy with a low wage rate model, and that's what Jamaica has. You know, a handful of people make a bag of money, but the people who do the housework don't earn anything.
You know,
right? The average wage in Jamaica is $89 US per week.
And that is crazy. It's funny, you know, looking at it that way. I and I'll close with this. I'm a patriot. Most of us are, right? Except, I mean, most people are patriot until you spend some money, but a different conversation. But the thing is, what I've maintained is when we gained independence, the major beneficiary of our independence was not Jamaica, it was the UK. Was not Jamaica, it was England. And by that, I mean, it's our freedoms, yes. But what happened pretty much is they gave away or they were vindicated from financial responsibility of a nation that they, to some degree, owed retribution. You know what I mean? So what happened pretty much is... So, not some degree, that they owed, but...
You can't take 400 years of mining and you know, sucking the life out of an economy.
But they benefited. They benefited. So when we sit back and say, well, we became independent, I think that's one of them deals, you know, when the door closed and the loan shark and the back door laugh and feel like, okay, I got away with murder. They're the ones.
That's exactly what
they're the ones that benefited from it. My brother, give thanks, you know. We and first of all, let me say this. Thanks for the knowledge and thanks for the info and thanks for always being willing to share with the masses. I shared myself. You know, like I said, you have 4 or 5 years, Palmer, so you can have some things you can tell me.
I try to look like you're a big man. No,
we have a couple of grays, you know. You see, me show my grays on the camera. Me turn up my chin. You know what I mean?
Yo, you haven't said enough party, so you got to say anything. I don't know that you don't want to G4, listen, I have so much respect for what you do.
Give that.
Right? That my ability, my you know, decision to make a contribution, you know, that we can't guess what. We're only as good as the support that we have for each other.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And you're a man with deep in the culture. I mean, I have a hell of a lot of regard and respect for that. So anytime we can make a little input party, feel free.
I appreciate it, my brother. Thanks as always. All right, we'll catch up.
Yeah, man.
Blessings. Ladies and gentlemen, a dope convo. It's always great to have conversation with the dope folks, man, who can call and shed some light on as well a reason. You know what I mean? So a lot of folks will talk to you off ear and so forth, but not everybody will want to share their insight. And again, we always saying it's all opinions. A lot of time, if we ain't got the documentation, it's all opinion. Even our facts are opinion to others, and other people's opinions are facts to themselves. So at the end of the day, it's just sharing knowledge. All right, and like I used to tell the youngsters when I did these little symposiums at talking to school, you know, treat it like a computer. You know what I mean? Take what you should take from it. You have a delete button. If you don't want to keep the part, delete the part. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, knowledge is key, and we need to share knowledge and experiences and information. Mine's experience might not be the same as yours, but I tell you this, none of us are unique, all right? We all share similar experiences, different places, different times, going through the same things. Empress Unique, large up. Hope, well, go on. Everybody that's locked in right about now having a good time. Jerome, you ain't said nothing but a word, boy. You ain't said nothing but a word. DJ Apples, large up. Bevelin, how are you, my dear? How are you? And again, everybody from near and far. Julian Lee, thank you so much. Much love to everybody near and far. Those people watching on Jamaicans.com. Joy, how are you? Thank you so much for rocking out with us, man. It's a vibe. Again, Sir Richard Blackford, make sure you go check out Yard Media, you know, Sunday Scoops, all that. You can learn a lot. And that conversation that I said I'm going to be having with one of the OGs, one of the elders, one of the veterans who's, you know, been experienced a little pre-independence life. We want to talk to them. We're going to see what that threshold was like, what the journey was like, the voyage is like. Because like I said, there's a big difference in my life up to age 10, from 10 to 20, from 20 to 30. And it's not just that each decade, it's just things and times changed. And and you hear me talking about it on a 10-year basis, but Not necessarily, you know what I mean? And I can equate it to music, like the one drop era. We know what the feeling was like and how society was, you know, during that one drop era. And when the one drop era faded out and it was straight hardcore dancehall, things changed too. You know what I mean? Just an example. So as I grew up through life, and I spent my adult years in the U.S. I moved to the U.S. when I was 18, going on 19 years old, right? So worked 1 year at NCB St. Anne's Bay in Jamaica. So I'm not qualified to speak on adult life in Jamaica. Every time I went back to Jamaica, I was a visitor on vacation, right? But my childhood was spent in Jamaica, and I can tell you details and the different eras, you know. I also saw the political climate. I'm from Ocho Rios, where it wasn't that bad, you know what I mean? We're just chilling. We're beach people, you know what I mean? We're resort town people, so we're not really too deep into the political thing, but I did see it. I saw the different people coming through, campaign stuff, you know what I mean? The trucks with the orange and the trucks with the green and the different energies that they brought. And, you know, watched a lot of the conversations on the news, witnessed a lot of it down there in, you know, the playing field when political people would come there and, you know what I mean, just lying to the masses, tell them that bag of foolishness, you know what I mean? But you know, and as the elections would come and you'd move from party to party, you could feel it. But as a child, I'm not responsible for bringing in income. I'm not responsible for taking care of the household. So there are certain things I can't speak on, right? I can't speak on that. But I just know there was a different feeling around. So that's the reason why I want to chop it up with somebody who, you know, was an adult during that time frame, even coming from teenager to young adult. And you know, I don't want to ask none of the 90-year-olds and 98-year-olds to come sit down and waste some time with G. Cole, you know, but an elder who has a vivid memory and recollection of the times and also can articulate that to us, you know. It's just, I always say I love history, I hate historians, right? So I want a little bit of that history, right? Because I got my opinions, you've got yours. How about we speak to the people who can speak on it? Because 9 times out of 10, the people who are speaking on it aren't educated in the subject that they're speaking on. You know what I mean? So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank y'all so much for rocking out with me. It's been a vibe. It's been a vibe. It's been a vibe indeed. And again, remember, if you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast, Homegrown G Code is available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Radio.com, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. We're there. All right? This episode is going to be up very, very soon, too. I want to big up my YouTube people, too. All those people watching on YouTube who always say, G Cole, you know, say, forget about it more time. Nope. I ain't forget y'all. We good. We cool. It's a vibe. All right. Remember to go get my brand new single. It's called I Know Your Story. Out right about now. It's a vibe. But I got to roll up out of here. So tomorrow I'm on radio, 5 o'clock. Eastern Standard Time. Wilding out. Always having a good time. Check me on social media at my G Cole. I'm going to send the information out. We're going to be dropping some dope music. And we're going to talk about some things. That's what we do. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, we slide and we glad and we get up out of here. Keep it moving. Keep it grooving. It is homegrown. Wow.
Free-minded music. My body is calling. Girl, I am falling.
Thank you, Hope.
Girl, are we belonging?
It's called Paradise is Clive. Let's get in.
Body is calling. Crying and balling. Girl, I'm in love with you. Girl, I wanna touch ya, touch ya, touch ya. Oh, I'm in love with you. I wanna rub a dub with you. No one has come close to you. I wanna touch ya, touch ya, touch ya. You and me, we be in paradise. You and me, we be in paradise. No one else, you and me together is so nice. No one else, you and me, we be in paradise. Only you can cool on my body. I love it when you call me Zadie. Your legs on my shoulder, mommy. Make you go, I wanna kiss up your lips, so move up your waist like Calypso. A body like yours is a blessing. Me no want nobody tell me.